Well, it seems like quite a few of you are getting into content creation because one of the most common questions I'm getting right now is about my mic setup. So how about today we take a look at this new MSR Xpedition ADV helmet that I like a lot. It's $180 and kind of loaded for that price. And then we'll put a mic setup in it to use for motovlogging or content creation so that you can see how that all gets set up. Obviously, Rocky Mountain sent me this helmet. They sent it to me a while ago. I've worn it a few times. I'm a big fan of it. I think just like all of their other MSR gear, this is a really solid entry-level choice. It has a ton of venting options. You can see the front vent is here, which direct vents. There you can see the hole on the inside. It's comfortable. It's not too heavy. It has MIPS, which, you know, I'm not going to go super in-depth on that. It reduces injuries from rotational impacts and off-road when we're riding kind of slow and falling off on uneven ground on rocks and stuff. Those are the kind of impacts that we experience. It is DOT rated, and I asked them because I don't love recommending just DOT helmets, and they said it meets or exceeds the standards of ECE 2205, which is the old standard. They just updated it to ECE 2206, and they didn't get it tested for that. Basically, something that's beyond DOT is always what I look for, so I always look for that ECE or Snell or a Sharp rating on a helmet. So the ECE 2205 is good enough for me. I have a lot of helmets that have that. So you're not compromising on safety, good quality helmet. Looks cool. I think they have a ton of colorways. And, you know, you should check it out if you're looking for an entry-level helmet or you want maybe a dedicated dirt helmet. Obviously, the visor comes off and you can do all that stuff. Anyway, that's the helmet, and I'll link that for you if you want to check it out. But let me show you how I take a helmet, just a base helmet, and turn it into a motovlogging content creation helmet. Sorry, shaky cam for a minute, but this is what you need to make this happen, or at least what I use. Obviously, you need a helmet. You need some kind of soft cloth to put your helmet on so you're not scratching it up while you're moving it around. They conveniently just sent me this microfiber, so we'll use that. You need a mount of some kind. I've been playing with these Motorad's flex mounts lately. I like those. You need a microphone. I like this microphone better than anything else I've used. You need a little bit of dead cat fur, which is just craft fur that you can get at a craft store. I've been using the same piece since I started motovlogging 7 years ago. I like an additional mount, just a pivot point, so that I can get the angle just right on the camera. You need some tape of some kind, at least that's what I use, Gorilla Tape, and a camera, just so you can make sure you've got your positioning right. You can do this really in any order, but I like to start with the camera so that I can position the mic and everything else. So step one for me is the mount. So what I like about this one is it's minimal, sticks really well, and it can be adjusted to fit any helmet. I've also had some good luck with the chin mounts, which are custom 3D printed for your specific helmet. Those work great, but there's no... Oh, it does have the extra piece. I didn't even need to bring that out. Cool. It comes with the extra piece because they know you're going to use it for a helmet. This is just 3M adhesive on the back. This is flexible, as you can see, and this sticks really well, works with just about any helmet. So step one is kind of just attach it, figure out where you want to put it. Actually, I want it this way. It matters which side the screw is on, depending on which camera you have, where your mic adapter is, and all that. So it doesn't hurt to put this on there with the camera on it. If you haven't done this before, I have, so I'm not super worried about it. So get the angle about how you like it. Line up the center of the helmet with the center of the mount. I got one of these crooked last time. You can't really tell unless it's super far off, but you know, if you have OCD like me, it's gonna bother you every time you look at it. Okay, once you've kind of got that figured out, this is sort of then pre-shaped. Just clean this up really well, which I've already done. You can use alcohol or something if you're really worried about it. The other thing you can do is take a heat gun and heat up this adhesive. That'll make it stick better. Heat gun, man. I get so much use out of this. One of the best things I ever bought. Got tired of borrowing my wife's hairdryer. I actually got tired of putting it back. All right, now don't touch that because it's sticky. And it gets less sticky if you touch it. And that is science with Dork in the road. Also, if you hit the heat, if you put the heat gun and it hits your hand, that hurts, so don't do that. Okay, we always go right side, so we're just gonna line this up right in the center where we want it. And we'll make contact. Obviously your helmet will vary, but on this one I'm just going on that bottom ridge and then press it down hard so it gets a good seal. Just be careful if you have a helmet that has like a vent flipper down here or something, that you don't like seal this in a place where you can't then flip the vent open or close. That's pretty much on there. Don't go crazy with it. You gotta give it a day or two to cure, but you can test it. I like to put the camera on just to be sure that I like the positioning before I commit to putting the mic in and everything. Also really helps if you position this thing so that your other tightener thingy is on the same side. It's called a tightener thingy, not a screw. No, tightener thingy. Get it right. Don't go crazy tightening anything down until you get it all lined up. But once you kind of get it where you like it, I usually go in with a screwdriver and tighten this bottom one down so it doesn't move around on me. Now, it's less of a concern on modern action cameras with the super wide lenses, but you do want this to lean back a little. You want it to be facing up because when we ride like this with our helmets down. So this needs to be pointing what looks like awkwardly high because when you ride, your head's gonna be like this. And you'll be able to tell when you ride it. Obviously, go test it on the bike or whatever, but my recommendation, give yourself a little bit of a tip up. That's gonna work, fine, great positioning, right in front of the vent, but that's okay. That's a price we pay. Let's prep the microphone. I like this one. This was a recommendation from Lolly. Do you guys follow Lolly? She's a motovlogger. Anyway, anti-paralolly at one point, now it's just Lolly. This is a nice microphone because two things I really like about it. Not the silica gel, I don't care about that. Silica gel. I've been calling it silica gel my whole life. That's not what it is. You ever like read something when you're 7 and that's just what it is, and then you take a look at it as an adult and you're like, oh, I'm an idiot. Okay. Anyway, I like this one because it only has 2 stripes, so it's like a TRS or TRRS. There's a difference. You can't see that. So I don't need an adapter. I don't like adding additional failure points to my setups. There are also just additional places where like static can creep in or connections can get loose. And I've lost enough footage over the years. So this thing is plug and play with the mic adapter on your action camera. I also kind of like this little gooseneck because it gives me options for positioning it inside the helmet, but it's not like a deal breaker one way or the other because we're just gonna tape it down. I'm just gonna take a little bit of dead cat fur. This is just craft fur, like I mentioned, from a craft store. I literally got this at, what is the name of that craft store that everyone goes to? Joann Fabrics. So organized. I definitely got prepared for this video and I'm not just winging it. You don't need a lot because we're gonna put it under the cheek pad. I like just like a piece that's just slightly wider than the microphone itself. So maybe like this. I also like to just give it a haircut because this is too long. But the purpose of the dead cat is it cuts down on the wind noise. Not like the noise of actual wind, but the like of like wind hitting the microphone. You'll still be able to hear the wind in your helmet, unfortunately. Now I use a lot of Gorilla Tape for this. Some people may do more permanent things, but I'm always swapping stuff around anyway, so Gorilla Tape lasts plenty long for me. But just take your piece of dead cat fur, see, and just wrap it around the mic. Try to cover, you know, like at an angle so you get the top and bottom, whatever. As much coverage as possible. And I just take a piece of Gorilla Tape and I tape it on there. Now, some acoustical engineer is going to come in here and be like, that's stupid, it doesn't work. And I don't care, it's always worked for me. I've been doing this professionally for a few years now. It's good enough for me, it's good enough for most of you. The whole point of this is just to keep that dead cat fur from shifting around. White, there we go. Look at that, autofocus worked. That's what it looks like. Is it perfect? I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. I like to put the microphone in on the same side as my mic adapter because that's where the cable will have to run out. It doesn't really matter for reasons that I'll show you in a second. That's just an old habit from when I had a lot more elaborate setups. Pop your cheek pad out. Pay attention to where the snaps are. This one's pretty easy. I don't actually have to take it all the way out, but what we want is kind of close to the front, but not so close to the snap that you won't be able to get the cheek pad down. So I'm gonna go like maybe up here. If it's too close to one of the edges, you might get wind noise, so you gotta watch that. But if it's too far back, it sounds super muffled. It's a trade-off. You sometimes have to move it around until you find a place you like. The other thing is you want the cable coming out forward, kind of, so this allows you to do that. I still have the mic pointing in the right direction. I'm just gonna position this, and then I like to kind of try it. Yeah, see, I got that button down, so that should work. I'm gonna tape it, and then I'll show you what it looks like. I'm doing a bad job right now. Like, I've done this 1,000 times, but you like go to demonstrate it, and suddenly you forget. It's like when you're typing, right? I can type perfectly all day long, but if someone watches me type, I can't do it. I'm gonna tape this bottom half down too so that it's not moving around. Just don't cover up your snap because you won't be able to get your cheek pad button back down. That's more or less good because this is gonna come down like this. So I don't know how well you can see that, but just a piece of tape on the gooseneck and another piece just to hold the mic in place. And I should be able to, theoretically, button this down over the top of it, and that'll keep it in place. At this point, put the helmet on and make sure you can't feel that microphone, because if you can, you need to move it because it gets annoying. And if it's like, I can feel it a little, but it's okay, it's not, because at the end of the day, that really adds up. So I'm gonna try that. Oh. Depending on how tight your helmet is, yeah, I don't feel it. I don't feel it, I don't think. I don't remember where I put it, so clearly I don't feel it. The other thing you're checking there is if the cheek pad pops off when you pull the helmet on and off. because if it does, then you didn't get it very well snapped. Now our goal is to run this cable to here. I used to store all this extra cord in my helmet, like under the cheek pads, but it gets annoying and you can feel it. It gets bunched up and moved around. I just run it up and around this, and I store it outside the helmet now. So just get it kind of figured out where you want it. I like to put some tape on this so that I'm not catching on it. You don't want to catch on this. And you're taking the helmet off or putting it on and yank your microphone out or whatever. So anything that could get loose and fall down into a loop, I like to put a little tiny bit of tape over. Yeah, your helmet gets uglier. That's the price you pay. It doesn't need to be this elaborate, but it really blends in. You don't even notice it. I use Gorilla Tape because it seems to last through heat, dust, wetness, all kinds of changes. I've had no problems. It only leaves a little residue if you leave it on there for like a couple years, but you can get it off pretty easily. I'm gonna run most of this cable around the mount. On the very back, you don't want it getting in the way, so. And as far back as possible. So if there's like a lip like this, take advantage of that. There's a reason for that, I'll show you in a second. And when you get down to a couple inches, that's a good time to put the camera back on so you can figure out the spacing. Because you want the least amount possible that's not also so tight you can't plug it in. The other thing I like to do when I get down to the wire here is run a reverse loop, so kind of tie a knot in it. So I'll take like this and go around the backside, around the outside, around the outside. So there's like a little knot in it. Yeah, that's about ideal because any tighter than that, it's gonna pull down on it. But any looser and you're gonna catch it on stuff. Put the camera where it's gonna go. Make sure you've got that slack. Make sure this is tight, okay? Wonderful. And then I like to take the camera off and I'm gonna put one thin strip of Gorilla Tape over the cable to keep it from kind of unraveling on me. Again, there are probably nicer, less Gorilla Tapey ways to do these things, but this works for me. And I'm changing setups enough that I don't need anything more permanent. Gorilla Tape, ta-da. And then just make sure it all fits. More or less there. Bam! Anybody remember Emeril Lagasse? I doubt it. Bam! Okay, the great thing about these new action cameras, and I'm even including the new GoPro in this, is the battery life is stellar. So I used to have to run a whole separate battery on the back of the helmet, run extra cables, a bunch of extra, I don't have to do that anymore because the batteries last plenty long now for me. So that's it, we're done. You add a microphone, you add a mount, you're good. Now the next test is put it on and go ride, test the audio. If you're getting too much wind noise, you might need to move that mic around, get it behind a cheek pad, maybe add some more dead cat fur, make sure the angle is where you like it. If you've got crackling or anything weird, make sure all your connections are good. It's a testing and tweaking, but this is the basic setup. So a lot of you have been asking, what mic do you use? How do you record your sound? This is what I've been doing lately. So it's pretty easy. I've done this enough times that I think that's good to go, so I'll go on a test ride when it stops raining. So I'll link everything from the setup in the description for you. I'm gonna take this off so you can hear me. I hope that helps some of you who are eager to get out and start motovlogging yourself. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you're looking for more ADV, dual sport, adventure, moto camping shenanigans, and also because I'm the dork in the road and I want to be your internet riding buddy, and I'm better than your regular riding buddies because I come with the mute button. Thank you for watching, I appreciate you, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!